Welcome back. We're in between the rounds and we're just about to begin part two, but let's give you the editor's call on the last one, part one of round one. And let me call our Rappler's managing editor, Glenda Gloria. I'm going to give you the mic. Can you give us what you thought of who won it, and why?
Well, Maria, for round one, we gave it to Senator Grace Poe. She came out very aggressively, but beyond that, it's really on the FOI bill. She was to the point in terms of being aware of who is to blame for the delay of the passage of the bill, and actually putting in context what exactly is FOI. Binay came out saying, well, I will support an FOI, in fact, will issue an executive order. But the senator actually hinted that, well, you have no credibility at all to say about issuing an executive order because you have not even appeared before the Senate when we were investigating corruption allegations against you. So in terms of that, connecting a bill to actually exposing the credibility or the lack of credibility of a rival goes for very well for Poe.
Fantastic.
So we gave it to her for this round.
To Grace Poe. And then one of the stories that we just came out with was about the ganging up on Binay. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think that was expected. I think he was expecting it as well. In fact, if his PR team is to be believed, he had to cancel his trip to Ilocos Norte to prepare for this debate. Understand that the context of this debate is an expose against him a few days ago, linking him to a dollar account that was supposedly transmitted through one of the agencies that was used in the money laundering scheme involving the RCBC. So it's all that he knows that he's going to be always the punching bag here. He presented also documents. And at that point, it came as a surprise. I think, to be fair to the vice president, that was the documents he was referring to. Apparently, that he wanted some props to show that he was willing to sign a waiver, but again, it falls short of what exactly he has been showing since the corruption allegations came out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Glenda. Clarissa, we're coming to you. What your thoughts of round one, and then and also your thoughts on the media, the way TV5 and the Philippine Star handled it.
Yes, this is a very interesting debate because, again, as I said earlier, unpredictable. It's so unpredictable how these things are going to happen. Who would have thought it would be delayed by an hour and a half? It would be handled the way it was handled. One of the striking things that I was thinking was the experience from the audience point of view. Between people who were just watching it on TV and people who were seeing Twitter and Facebook. If you're looking at Twitter and Facebook, you're seeing the backstory. You're seeing that Binay was going to walk out, he was coming back, they were fighting inside, there were jokes being thrown around. But if you were just watching TV, this is completely outside of what you're able to see. So voters who are on Twitter are seeing character things about Binay and Mar Rojas and everybody involved in all of this. Whereas if you're only watching television, you only see the actual debate. So you're operating on a different set of information, and the reaction to how Binay conducted himself with the documents, etc., is something that's completely opaque if you're only watching it on television. So it's interesting to see how voters will react differently depending on what kind of information they have. The other thing that was interesting really was it's kind of the wild, wild west, but it's fun. It's fun in that sense because there's a lot of attacking, there's a lot of freedom to really just butt in there and interrupt. Maybe it's not good debate form, but it certainly makes for good entertainment and a lot of substance. There are candidates who are falling all over themselves trying to give as many facts and figures as possible, and you can see that they're trying to make themselves appear very knowledgeable and be able to pull things out of the air, and that they know their history, they know what the statistics are, etc. But then you have candidates who are really looking for ways to give a punchline. These are different approaches to the debate. So it'll be interesting what the next rounds are going to look like.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let's go to our adjudicators. At the part one, round one, we were actually talking about Poe and Binay,
Binay.
right? So now round one is over. Let's talk.
Which
final
one's your
win.
best speaker?
Who is your
Our consensus is that Senator Grace Poe took this round because I think her assumption debate team captain background came out, and it was really convincing the way she explained her positions. First of all, we thought the questions were good. On FOI, tax reform vis-a-vis infra, climate change, corruption, disaster response. And we feel that, well, I feel personally that Senator Poe tackled the FOI really well. There was a good exchange on citizenship, and that was a good clash between Vice President Binay and Senator
That's something
Poe.
that resonates with the public.
Exactly.
That discussion.
Exactly. And I thought that, there was a surprise there because she baited Vice President Binay on the disclosure, and then VP Binay says, here are my documents, I'm waiving bank secrecy. I thought that was exciting, and I thought the format allowed for it finally. So I thought that Grace Poe won this round.
So across the entire two gaps of the first round,
That's
for
right.
you it's Grace. And is it the same for everyone
Same for
else?
Yes, same for me as well.
Okay.
Clarissa talked about differences in style. How would you talk about how would you take apart the four candidates as debaters? What are the differences in styles?
I think what's interesting about Senator Poe is throughout the campaign, we've seen her become more aggressive. But parang in 2013, she started as FPJ's daughter. In the past debate and in this debate, not a single mention of FPJ. And we increasingly see her being able to hold her own, have her own opinions. I think in this particular round, and even in the first gap, she was able to frame the debate quite well. So for example, when Mar Rojas says, for example, well, everyone from the LP who has substantial evidence can have a case in the ombudsman. And then she reframes it by saying, yeah, but only members of the LP that are dispensable to your party. But what about crucial people in the LPs who are incompetent? And she named names as well. So I think that was very aggressive. It framed the debate correctly. When Mar Rojas makes a claim about Yolanda, she will say, but what about the 154,000 other houses that aren't built yet? So she has this very aggressive but also engaging and not cheap way, like an elegant way, fact-driven way
Yes.
of framing, but aggressive. So in a way, it's a good balance between her soft-spoken character, but also it's that way of saying, but I'm soft-spoken, but I can still drive this debate. So I think that's a good balance that not a lot of candidates were able to do in this round.
If Nicole is saying that Grace was Grace under pressure, so to speak.
Grace
Yes.
under pressure, nice.
What about the other candidates? She talked about raising an elegant level of debate. Were they all elegant?
Okay, I want to focus on Secretary Rojas, no, in particular, because I don't envy his position. Because it's always an unenviable position in a debate where you're part of the current administration, and any debate will inevitably talk about problems that you want to solve or things that you want to improve. But you have to tread that particular position because you cannot throw under the bus what your administration is doing, but you also want to prove that you can do something more. So that's the delicate balance that he's supposed to do. He has to pinpoint certain gaps and how we can improve them, but he cannot throw anyone under the bus. Now, I think this is what the other candidates know, and they see that we expected the candidates to gang up on VP Binay, but you see the candidates also ganging up on Secretary Rojas. No? You see Mayor Duterte and si VP Binay even discussing, so who are the ones in cahoots with Secretary Rojas
Yes.
in Mindanao?
Right.
So they're bullying
I think
Secretary
it's a strategy
Rojas?
because they see that he's slightly cracking under pressure. He came off a bit antsy for me.
Right.
Okay.
As opposed to, I think, well, as for the other candidates, I think Mayor Duterte came off as a bit disengaged, which I think could work for his benefit. Because he's not going into the fray. He's just
Above
He's above it.
he's above it. He's
yeah.
commenting.
Okay.
Parang may jokes. They're a bit a few
He's
jokes
acting as
here.
a moderator even. Na parang, so
he's-
who are these guys? Diba?
That's
Parang
right.
he's prompting them to say
And
the
he's
names.
saying sometimes that, we can debate about this until we're blue in the face, but I'm going to address it when I become president.
Right.
So there's that kind of, I'm disengaging from this whole petty fight.
And I think that's what. I think that's what Mayor Duterte supporters are looking for.
Right.
They're looking for that image of the strong man who
The presidential.
the presidential
Yeah.
guy who won't jump into the fray.
all of you earlier were asking for more rationality in the debate, but with an emphasis on differentiating policies and ideas and ideologies and all that. Did we see any differentiation in the last debate, or is it more of the same, only I'll do better than you?
I think we see a lot of policy differentiation, like the climate change debate in particular, I think was very interesting. There's a real clash here when you have Mayor Duterte saying, look at the UN imposing all of their policies on green energy on us, and then you have Secretary Ross saying, no, we need clean energy. Of course, he didn't say anything about having a lot of coal power plants being built by this administration, but it's good to see the foresight on his part. So I think the debate is
Okay, we're about to start the next
All right.
round. Thank you, guys.